What if I told you that the pain you feel today didn't begin in your body? That before the symptom, there was a thought, an emotion, a silence that piled up? And what if illness is nothing more than the echo of something deeper? Something your mind tried to hide, but your body had to shout out. It sounds hard to believe, I know. Most of us were taught to see the body as a mechanical structure. When it breaks, you fix it. When it gets sick, you medicate it. But the truth, and here I speak of a truth that both science and spirituality have already confirmed, is that your body is not just flesh, bones, organs. It is vibration. It is emotion condensed into matter. It is the exact reflection of your inner world. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist and world authority on epigenetics, shows us that the key does not lie in the genes, but in how you perceive the world. Beliefs, fears, resentments, inherited emotional patterns, all of this shapes the way your cells behave. All of this programs, or deprograms, your ability to heal. We're not talking about theory, we're talking about living science, real evidence. Cases of people who, by changing what they felt and believed, also changed their biology. Think about this. The placebo effect, so well known in medicine, is more than just a curiosity. It is evidence that the body responds with healing when the mind truly believes. And what if that ability were not limited to a fake pill? What if you could activate it from within yourself? Joe Dispenza, a researcher in neuroscience applied to healing, confirms. When your mind aligns with elevated emotions such as gratitude, love, and peace, your body enters another state, a state of regeneration. An electromagnetic field of healing begins to pulse around you. You are not just a patient. You are a creative force. In this video, we're not just going to talk about this. We're going to walk together on the path between pain and awareness. We're going to dive into the emotional roots of illness, understand how the mind makes the body sick, and above all, how it can heal it. Because maybe what you feel today is not an ending, but a calling to turn inward and reconnect. There are pains that have no name, only sensation, a tightness in the chest that no one sees, an inflammation that won't go away, a fatigue that doesn't seem to come from the body, but from somewhere deeper, as if the soul were exhausted from trying to be ignored. The body speaks, yes, but before it speaks, it whispers. It gives subtle signs, a mild discomfort, recurring insomnia, a tension that comes and goes. Only when we don't listen, it screams. And that scream often manifests as illness. Illness does not come by chance. It carries a message. And almost always that message is connected to what you couldn't express, to the emotions that were swept under the rug, to the memories you swore you'd forget, to the fear of not being accepted, loved, heard. The body doesn't separate what is physical from what is emotional. It translates. It transforms repressed energy into symptoms, and each symptom is like a sealed letter, waiting to be read with attention and presence. Psychosomatic illnesses are not inventions of the mind. They are expressions of the unconscious. They are biological responses to a deep disconnection between what you feel and what you live. It's as if every time you silence a legitimate emotion, the body has to find a way to push it out. A biochemical scream, a desperate attempt at reconnection. Traditional medicine has taught us to look at symptoms as enemies. But what if they are allies? What if the fever, the pain, the stiffness, the imbalance are, in fact, ways of drawing your attention to something unresolved within you? The soul speaks in codes, and the body translates. Repressed emotions, chronic sadness, contained anger, unprocessed fear have real effects on physiology. They change the blood's pH. They deregulate hormones. They alter the immune response. They compromise cellular regeneration. And little by little, they create fertile ground for illness. Anxiety, for example, often silent and disguised, is one of the greatest inflammators of the human body. It is not just mental. It impacts the heart, the gut, the skin, the sleep. It steals vital energy. And most alarming of all, it can remain active for years without being recognized as a root cause of disease. The disconnection between what you feel and what you live is perhaps one of the most dangerous pains because it is invisible. But your body sees. Your body records everything, even what you try to forget. And what if the first step toward healing is not medicating the symptom, but listening to what it is trying to say? What if the body is not broken, but simply overloaded with unresolved emotions? It's time to listen, because when the mind stays silent for too long, the body has to scream, and that scream is always a cry for love. Imagine for a moment that every thought you have is a seed cast directly onto the soil of your body. Some seeds carry fear, insecurity, resentment. Others, gratitude, compassion, trust. The soil, your physiology, rejects none of them. It receives. It responds. It blooms according to what you cultivate in your mind. Bruce Lipton reveals a revolutionary discovery. Our cells are not commanded by genes, but by the messages they receive from their environment. And this environment, more than anything else, is internal. It is made of beliefs, feelings, and interpretations. Your biology, right now, is being programmed by what you believe to be true about yourself, about life, about what you do or do not deserve to feel. Epigenetics confirms what spiritual masters have said for millennia. What you feel frequently, you become. Dense emotions such as anger and guilt are not just emotional discomforts. They act directly on the immune system, weakening the body's defenses. On the other hand, elevated emotions such as love, gratitude, and forgiveness have the power to rebalance hormones, regenerate cells, and restore organ functions. The limbic system, which connects the emotional brain to the physical body, works as a bridge. Every belief, when infused with emotion, crosses that bridge and generates specific chemical reactions. That is why it is not enough to think. You must feel with truth. An intellectual belief alone does not alter your biology, but a belief felt, rooted in the body, transforms everything. Many of these beliefs, however, are not even yours. They were inherited, absorbed in childhood, repeated generation after generation. Beliefs such as, illness is punishment, my body is weak. Every woman in my family had this, so I will too. These thoughts become silent truths that shape your health without you realizing it. But it is possible to choose other beliefs. It is possible to plant a new seed. Research shows that cells taken from the body and placed in different environments completely change their behavior. They get sick in toxic environments and thrive in healthy ones, even though they are genetically identical. And what does this reveal? That your internal environment, what you feel, think, believe, is more decisive than the genetics you inherited. Now pause and reflect. What beliefs have been guiding your emotional life and silently your health? Perhaps you will discover that you carry ideas that no longer make sense, yet continue to act beneath the surface of your vibrational field. Recognizing this is already the beginning of transformation. Yes, it is possible to reprogram. It is possible to teach the body a new path, because it is not trapped in the past. It is listening to you, now. And what you truly believe becomes the new code of your healing. There is a kind of pain that comes from the effort of pretending to be fine when everything inside you is screaming the opposite. An exhaustion that doesn't come from the illness itself, but from the weight of sustaining an image of strength when the heart is in pieces. We live in an era where pain is expected to be brief, silent, and, if possible, smiling. But the body knows the truth. Many people become even sicker when they try to think positive as a form of denial. As if forced positivity could silence old tears, unprocessed trauma, the fear that was never named. But the body notices. The mind lies. The body does not. It feels the vibrational dissonance between what one tries to appear to be and what one truly feels. Performative spirituality, the kind that forces mantras without presence, that repeats affirmations without feeling, that imposes smiles over open wounds, is one of the great saboteurs of self-healing, because it creates an internal abyss, an emptiness between what one wishes to manifest and what one still carries, unhealed, in the unconscious. The true power of healing does not lie in thinking positive, but in feeling with truth, in allowing yourself to inhabit your own vulnerability with courage, in walking through dense emotions with presence and awareness. Because only what is felt with truth can be transformed in depth. Coherence is the word. The coherence between what you think, what you feel, and what you express. Joe Dispenza teaches that it is this coherence that alters the energetic field around the body. That healing is not the result of a phrase repeated mechanically, but of an internal state of emotional truth. When you allow yourself to be whole, without masks, without pretending, the field of healing opens. Pretending to be fine disrupts the nervous system. It generates silent stress. It raises cortisol. It lowers immunity. It feeds illness. Because the body, in its deep intelligence, needs truth in order to reorganize. And every attempt to deceive yourself is perceived as a threat. Healing is not about forcing light where there is darkness. It is about illuminating the darkness with gentleness. It is not about eliminating sadness, but about embracing it until it no longer needs to scream. True healing does not demand performance. It demands presence. It demands listening. And above all, it demands that you honor what you feel, even if the world doesn't understand. Healing is not an event. It is a process. And often that process begins in the silence between one thought and another. In the pause where, for an instant, you are not trying to understand, control, or resist, but simply to feel. The body doesn't need commands. It needs listening. Because within you already exists everything necessary to begin a new cycle. And this new cycle begins when mind, heart, and breath come into harmony. The first step is observation. Looking honestly at the symptom, not as an enemy, but as a messenger. What is it trying to show you? What emotion is hidden there, pulsing behind the pain? When you stop fighting the symptom, something profound happens. The body feels it has been seen, and what is truly seen begins to transform. The second step is emotional naming. Giving a name to what you feel is like opening a window inside your chest. Anger, fear, guilt, sadness, loneliness. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you acknowledge it. Because an emotion that is recognized is an emotion in motion, and everything that flows heals. The third step is vibrational substitution, not through the force of thought, but through the truth of elevated emotion. Here enters what Bruce Lipton describes as the state of biological coherence. When you access an emotion like gratitude and truly feel it with your whole body, the nervous system enters a state of regeneration. The frequency shifts. The field around you expands. Your cells receive new instructions. It's as if you reprogrammed your biology through the vibration of your feeling. Visualize for a moment a scene that brings you peace, a safe place, a moment of true love, an instant when you felt whole, even if just for a few seconds. Breathe into that place. Feel that memory in your body. Don't think about it. Feel it. Stay there for a few minutes. Let that vibration envelop every part of you. This is more than imagination. It is neuroplasticity. It is vibrational rewriting. Bruce Lipton reminds us that the parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for restoring, healing, regenerating, is only activated when there is emotional safety. And the mind, when guided by images that awaken that safety, can lead the body into a state of deep reorganization. The metaphor of the seed helps here. The body is like fertile soil, but it only blooms when the emotional ground is prepared. And that preparation requires care, presence, time. It's not about rushing the process. It's about trusting it. Practicing this technique daily, observe, name, substitute, is like watering a new version of yourself. Over time, the results appear. Pains that lessen, sleep that improves, inflammation that subsides. Not because a miracle happened outside, but because a silent revolution happened inside. A shift in frequency, a new pact with your own healing. The body has its own language, a language that is not expressed with words, but with sensations, pain, tension, inflammation, imbalances, all these signs carry a deeper symbolic meaning, often ignored by the rush of life or the fear of looking within. But the body never lies. It is faithful to what we feel, even when we try to hide it. Every part of the body holds an emotional memory. The liver, for example, often stores old, undigested anger. The skin, through which we relate to the world, tends to scream unspoken rejections, wounds of contact and belonging. The heart, it beats with more strength or more pain, depending on the loneliness that inhabits our silences. Nothing is random. Nothing is merely physical. The symptom is a symbol, a code, a portal. When we learn to decipher these codes, we begin to see illness not as punishment, but as a teacher that shows us how to return to the essential, to care for what was postponed, to love the parts of ourselves that were forgotten. The body never lies. It only translates what the soul has long been trying to say. Neville Goddard offers us a powerful teaching. Felt imagination has the power to rewrite reality. It's not enough to imagine yourself healed. You must feel yourself healed with your whole body, as if it were already true. When you see yourself healthy with emotional intensity, you are giving your body a new vibrational map. And the body, with its silent intelligence, follows that map. Create an inner dialogue with your symptom. Ask it, what do you want me to see? What are you trying to teach me? Imagine it as an inner teacher, a guide that speaks through discomfort. And when you listen with humility, something shifts. The pain loses its weight. The fear dissolves. Healing begins to happen not because you forced it, but because you understood. Pain, when heard, no longer needs to scream, because its purpose was never to punish, but to transform. And every transformation begins the moment you choose to look within with truth and courage. The body is not an enemy to be defeated. It is an ally that, all along, only wanted to be understood. Perhaps now you can feel it more clearly. The pain that once seemed like punishment is, in truth, a calling. A profound reminder that there is something within you still pulsing for transformation. Something that no longer accepts living on autopilot, following the emotional inheritance of your family, repeating the same patterns. Because what makes us ill is not the symptom itself. It is the distance from our inner truth. Bruce Lipton showed us, with courage and science, that genetics is not an immutable destiny. It is like a musical score. But the one who chooses the music is you. Your inner environment, your thoughts, your emotions, your vibrational states, all of this rewrites, moment by moment, the score of your body. Health is not just a condition, it is a frequency. Greg Braden, another great bridge between science and spirituality, reminds us that coherent emotion is the pathway, the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between the energetic field and matter, between intention and manifestation. When you feel with truth and feel with the heart, you access a field where the body begins to respond differently, not because it was forced, but because it was aligned. Embracing this power does not mean carrying guilt. It does not mean saying that you created your pain because you didn't know how to avoid it. No, this is not judgment. This is awakening, a call to sacred responsibility, because it is not about searching for blame. It is about recognizing that within you exists a creative source. You are not a hostage to your genes. You are not a prisoner of a diagnosis. You are not a number on a medical report. You are the consciousness behind the frequency. You are the perception that can change the way the body responds. You are the feeling that can alter the reality around you. The body is a temple, but it does not respond only to what you eat, what you do, what you take. It responds, above all, to what you feel, to what you believe, to what you silence. And now, perhaps it is time to truly listen, to look at your symptom as a messenger, as a teacher, as a part of you that does not want punishment, but presence. Because healing begins when you listen and remain.